Thank you very much. And yeah, please come to the conference in Scotland in February. Thanks to Index and Censorship in particular, and to Susan everywhere for the invitation. Mine's a SLAPP suit on the water. As Nick said, I'm in the eye of a SLAPP storm at the moment, so there's certain things I can't talk about. I'll give a wave to any lawyers from the Sal Mafia that may be watching. I think I'll talk about the negative aspects of SLAPP suits, the intimidation, the isolation that we talked about yesterday, but I'll also try and end on some positive notes. I don't think Tom's here, but one of my favorite poems, Stephen Spender, who founded Index on censorship, the word bites like a fish. So censorship and fish go together. You may be a Monty Python fan. If you Google Monty Python, the fish slapping dance, you'll see Michael Palin slapping John Cleese with a little small pilchard in the face. And it goes on for about 10 seconds. It's only 20 seconds on Google if you want to Google it. And then John Cleese gets a big salmon out behind his pocket and slaps him into the water. Now, I'm not sure which end of that, whether I'm Michael Palin or John Cleese, but some of this will come out in the wash. I'll just say a little bit about where I came from and what I do and what's going to happen. I've campaigned against salmon farms for 25 years. I started with Friends of the Earth Scotland. I've campaigned in Norway and Canada. I've been to Chile and New Zealand, Australia. So everywhere that salmon farms operate, I call them the Sal Mafia. And I've got into the strange underworld of murky finance. And as an activist, primarily as an environmental activist, 5 years ago I moved into animal rights activism with a camera, a GoPro camera on a stick, highly technical, 10-pound telescopic pole from B&Q. So you kayak out to a farm, stick the camera in the pen, and you can film inside the salmon farm, which is a battery factory system. So we've got gruesome footage, gruesome video evidence inside some of the companies that are now suing me. So they're effectively trying to silence criticism, and they're trying to stop the truth coming out about what goes on inside their operations. So in 2017, in terms of Scotland, I was in a SLAPP suit in Canada, which seems to be a bit more advanced than the UK in terms of SLAPPs and anti-SLAPP legislation. 2017, I was threatened by Maui, which is owned by John Fredrickson. There's a biography in Norwegian about him called Storulv, the big wolf. I think he's the big bad wolf. He's worth 14 billion. I just looked on Forbes this morning. 127th richest man or woman in the world. If you cycle down past Embankment and Chelsea, you'll see his house, a £100 million house that Roman Abramovich tried to buy in Chelsea. So he's the owner of that company that sued me in 2021. They forced me into an undertaking, which is effectively an interdict, an injunction. So I'm prohibited for the last 2 years from going near 15 meters near their farm, so I can't film inside 40 or so salmon farms on the west coast of Scotland. There's maybe about 200 salmon farms. And then I lost the case in August and it's on appeal. I appealed in October, so without my lawyers, and I've got an amazing legal team in Scotland and legal assistance. Without that, I'd be kind of dead in the water. In October, a second Norwegian multinational piled in a similar injunction, interdict. So I'm now prohibited for going from maybe half the industry. And then on Thursday, another one, Bakkafrost, which is owned by the Norwegian government, the largest shareholder based in the Faroes, jumped on. So I've got until the 1st of December, which is Friday, to decide whether I cave into that injunction undertaking. So I operate in the murky waters really between activism and journalism. A lot of my stories, a lot of my footage gets given to newspapers. I went to a land-based salmon farm, climbed a skip full of dead salmon. You can see some of the photographs on the slide with Netflix. You can watch that on Netflix's Seaspiracy. I helped the Kate Winslet narrated documentary Eating Away to Extinction. French TV have been on farms. So it's in the public interest, I would argue, what we do. We're trying to shine a light on welfare abuse, salmon farmers breaking the law. And then just to wrap up in terms of positives, I just throw in there also, I was, the Channel 4 News 2020 ran a story about environmental campaigners, activists being illegally surveillance by private investigator. I also got rung up by a Sunday newspaper last year that I was hacked along with Michelle Platini and Philip Hammond and Chris Mason. So there's other kind of behind the scenes surveillance that the Sal Mafia do. If I do write a book, it's either going to be called Sal Mafia, Sal Mobsters, Sal Monsters, Sal Money, or Sal Monopoly. So they're the choices. I'd like to just say some positives. We need to harness the energy of SLAPP suits. I think there's a superheroes from Marvel who can harness the energy back and it goes further forward. But Newton's third law of motion is, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So I think, you know, certainly some of the times I feel like a piñata being battered, or a straw man, or a wicker man. But sometimes activists, campaigners, journalists can be like lightning rods, and we've all seen the graphic of the little tiny fish swimming and shoaling together and attacking the big fish. So sometimes David does slay Goliath. And then in terms of public engagement, one of the chilling issues in my lawsuit, as in others, you can't talk about it. I've actually talked about it quite a lot because I've got quite a big gob. But I think it is, this conference is amazing to learn from people, to swap stories, to network. And just to throw out at the end, the cheesy Gandhi quote, you know, first they ignore us, then they laugh at us, then they fight us, and then we win.